Hello and welcome. Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of tropical ecosystems and a phenomenon called hyperdominance. You might know that tropical rainforests and savannas are bursting with biodiversity, teeming with countless species. But what if I told you that in many of these vibrant places, a tiny fraction of species actually make up the majority of individuals? That's hyperdominance. So, what exactly is it? Imagine the vast Amazon rainforest. Research shows that just about 1.4% of tree species, around 227 types, account for half of all the trees there. Similarly, in the Cerrado, the world's most tree-diverse savanna, fewer than 2% of tree species, roughly 30 types, make up almost half of all trees. This pattern isn't just for giant trees. It's seen across different sizes and layers of the forest, from the ground to the canopy, with different species dominating each level. Why does this matter? Well, these hyperdominant species have a massive impact. They heavily influence vital ecosystem processes like carbon storage. In the Amazon, about 1% of tree species are responsible for half of all carbon storage and productivity. They also affect nutrient cycling and fruit production. So, they're key to keeping the ecosystem running. Some studies suggest these dominant species might be more resilient to environmental changes, which sounds good for stability. However, this concentration of function also creates a big vulnerability. If these key species are hit hard by climate change, deforestation, or disease, the entire ecosystem could be severely disrupted. Think of them as the main architects of the habitat. Large dominant trees, for instance, shape the microclimate, water, and light for everything living below. There's also a tricky aspect. Sometimes what looks like one super common species is actually a group of similar, but distinct, species. Some of these hidden species might be rare and threatened, needing special conservation focus. This means good old-fashioned taxonomy, identifying species correctly, is super important. So, how do we approach conservation with this in mind? It makes sense to prioritize protecting these hyperdominant species and their habitats, as it's an efficient way to safeguard core ecosystem services. We need to understand the specific threats they face, like drought or logging, and tailor our actions. Conservation plans should also think about all forest layers, as different species dominate at different heights. And as I mentioned, investing in taxonomic research to identify species accurately is crucial. This can reveal hidden diversity. Of course, protecting large, intact forests is paramount. For areas already damaged, restoration efforts should consider the roles of these dominant species. We also need to build resilience, helping these species and ecosystems adapt to changing conditions, perhaps by maintaining connected habitats so species can move. It's also useful to know that not all dominant species are dominant everywhere. Some are locally abundant but rare overall. Continuous monitoring and adaptive management are key. We need to keep learning and adjusting our strategies, especially as we understand how things like forest fragmentation and land use change impact these crucial species. These large-scale threats are major drivers of biodiversity loss. In a nutshell, hyperdominance is a critical feature of tropical ecosystems. It highlights key players for ecosystem management but also their fragility. Effective conservation demands a deep understanding of this pattern, accurate species identification, and strategies that protect both these vital species and the whole ecosystem as our planet continues to change. Thanks for tuning in.